We have some San Francisco 49ers injury updates to react to. And they're not that serious. They're kind of serious, but not that serious. We'll talk about it all and we'll break it down and have our full on reaction to it right after this. But before we do, you already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat, smash that like button, and let's talk about Christian McCaffrey and Ambry Thomas's season-ending injuries. Ooh. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down, gang? We are here to react. We're going to do a quick little reaction to some of the injury news that came out of Kyle Shanahan's press conference with local media. There seems to be two predominant updates that have come out of this. Outside of that, seems like the 49ers are in the clear everywhere else. So let's start with Ambry Thomas. So apparently Ambry Thomas injured his hand to the point where he will need surgery. So Ambry Thomas will have surgery tomorrow to get that repaired. But according to the reports coming from the call, it does sound like Ambry's going to be fine and should be ready to go. Man, I'm spelling everyone's name wrong. It's just one of those days. It's just one of those days. Hold on a sec. I got to update the name. I called Chris. Oh my God. How embarrassing. Hold on. All right. We should be good to go. We are starting off the new year on the right foot. Still same Brad, still misspelling everything. But let's get to the updates. Let's get back. Ambry Thomas has a hand injury, requires surgery, but the good news is he should be ready to go by the start of the playoffs. So we should be all right there. Christian, not to be confused with Christina, wink, wink. He is done for the season. Not as dramatic as it sounds. The 49ers only have one game left, and the regular season comes to an end with the game against the Rams. So what's going on with Christian McCaffrey right now? Christian McCaffrey has a calf strain, mild calf strain, according to Kyle Shanahan. That's why we do live reactions. It's all live. I can't go back and edit this or cut it out. We get to deal with it all live. That's one of the beauties of hopping into one of these and just watching the shenanigans play out. But with Christian McCaffrey, he is going to miss this game against the Rams. He, as you guys know, he left the game against the Commanders, did not return. Elijah Mitchell had a great game in his absence and kind of carried the load for the 49ers. So for CMC, his regular season is done, but the 49ers definitely are very confident, that being Kyle Shanahan, that Christian McCaffrey will return for the playoffs. So this to me sounds more precautionary than anything else. We do know that CMC's been dealing he's a little banged up and was, dealing with it. And the 49ers just took the smart route by not putting him back into the game, keeping him out, putting Elijah Mitchell out, and keeping him out of the Rams game, I think is honestly best case scenario. So as we know, the 49ers can't do anything or gain anything really to come out of this game other than personal accolades and just kind of a fine tune before they get their first round bye. And then they will square off against a team to be determined in the divisional round. So as it stands right now, the San Francisco 49ers aren't going to play Christian McCaffrey against the Rams. And I don't think that's a big deal. I actually think that's the way to go. We talked about this yesterday as well. And it's been a reoccurring talking point and conversation. So CMC should be fine by the playoffs. He's expected to be ready to go for the divisional round. I don't think there's really going to be anything that will hinder him from being able to go for the playoffs. He's just there. There's no point in putting him out there against the Rams. So the San Francisco 49ers are being smart. They're not going to put him back out there, risk re-aggravating, risk re-injury, and they're going to save CMC for the playoffs. The actual positive to come out of this is now Christian McCaffrey from today essentially to the first divisional round playoff game has about 3 weeks. So Christian, the workhorse that he is, the wear and tear that he took this season, he will get 3 weeks to get fresh, recover, do treatments, get massage, whatever he needs to do, chiropractic work, whatever. He has 3 weeks to get fresh. And that is huge for the San Francisco 49ers. If there's any guy that doesn't need to play, Christian McCaffrey is one of those guys. He's not going to lose his intensity. He's not going to lose his chip. He's not going to lose anything like that. So 49ers, Christian McCaffrey, not going to play against the Rams, but should be good to go against whichever team the 49ers face in the divisional round, which means you'll get a fresh CMC. But that also means the 2023 regular season for him are done, which means in 16 games, Christian McCaffrey has rushed for 1,459 yards, leading the league in rushing through 16 games. Remember, he's done for the year. These are his stats. No additional stats will be added to the season. So when we look back on the 2023 year that Christian McCaffrey had, these are the numbers that we are going to reference. 67 receptions added with 564 receiving yards and 21 total touchdowns. What an absolute killer season for Christian McCaffrey in his first. It's not technically a full year, but in our full year, again, he's not playing against the Rams. So in 16 games, our first full season with CMC, he puts up MVP type numbers. And again, I was really excited when the 49ers traded for Christian from the Carolina Panthers because we had seen what Kyle was able to do with undrafted free agent running backs, with sixth round running backs, all these different types of guys filling in. And I always wanted to see, I was like, man, what would Kyle do with a truly elite running back? And we've seen it. We have now seen what Kyle will do with the truly elite running back. He will put up MVP type numbers. So that's what Christian McCaffrey did this season. And I see someone said in the chat, Michael said too short of Jerry Rice's touchdown record. Yep, he was almost there. Almost there. But again, I like those records. I do, but I'm definitely more concerned with the 49ers going deep in the playoffs. Boomer says, Ella, remember when ESPN said it was a C- trade? Yeah, it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. When they gave that a C- trade, absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. I got one eye on Michigan and Alabama, by the way. So if you keep seeing me peeking over Actually, I'm gonna move it to the right so I don't have to peek over anymore. This way you won't know if I'm watching or not. I've seen some of you guys commenting about it in the chat, so I got one eye on Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines, as I think they just muffed was that a PAT? But anyways, yes, we remember. We remember very much. 49ers Throwback says, Happy New Year. Hope you and your family are doing well. We are the number 1 seed, and we finally have a franchise quarterback that can help us win Super Bowls. LFG. Let them know, Throwback. Appreciate the super chat. Hopefully you and your family are doing well, and you guys have a happy new year too. Appreciate all the support, Throwback, that you show all content creators. If you guys are unfamiliar with 49ers Throwback on Twitter, he really helps shed light and share other 49ers content creators stuff to get more eyes on it. And I really do appreciate that about Throwback. So I hope you have a phenomenal New Year's, as well as I think we're all prepared for a phenomenal New Year's, where the 49ers are going to do some damage this season. So to kind of recap, if you're just joining, the San Francisco 49ers had some injuries. Christian McCaffrey won't play against the Rams, but he will be fine, and he should be almost as 100% as maybe we'll see all year in the divisional round. So Christian McCaffrey will have approximately 2 to 3 weeks to get refreshed, to rehab, to just get right. And when the playoffs start, it should be good to go. Does my title still say Christina? I changed it. Well, if it still says Christina, that's a mistake. I did change it. So I apologize. Your boy can't spell today or spell check or do any of those things. So we're starting off 2024 the same way we run 2023. So I love it. I love it. So the silver lining is 49ers good to go. The question now becomes, who do we potentially sit? Who sits in this game? Do we sit anyone, or do we go out with all the starters? What do you think? Or do we play Christina and Ambry in place of Christian and Ambry? Those are legitimate questions that are being posed, and I don't know. Maybe Christian would or Christina would fill in a little bit better for Christian. I don't know. We'll see. But so far I'm seeing sit everyone. So there aren't enough players for everyone to be able to sit the whole squad. So let me do it this way. If you're going to sit 5, which 5 are you going to sit? If you're going to sit 5, which 5 are you going to sit? We can't sit everyone. And I was talking about this earlier too. It's like I would definitely consider sitting Trent Williams. But if I'm also sitting Trent Williams, I'm probably also sitting Purdy, because I don't want, and Jalen Moore's in the concussion protocol. We don't know if he's going to be out of the concussion protocol. So you could be doing that thing where you're kicking McKivitz over to left tackle. You're putting Pryor in at right tackle. If you're doing anything to the offensive line, it feels like you need to take Purdy out. So that's the tough one, right? Because I don't think they want to lose this game. I think they want to go in trying to stay as sharp as possible. But again, if you're sitting Trent, man, you almost got to sit Purdy too. So we'll see. Do you sit Bosa? Do you sit Fred? Do you sit Charvarius? Dang, what a throw by that Alabama quarterback right there. That was crazy. Watching Darnold seems like torture. What if Darnold wins though? Could be some great experience for Darnold to not have to get thrown into the game or play mop up duty. I don't know. Could be not a bad thing. So we'll see. Give Trent and Brock one drive. Yeah, I'm almost like it's almost like they got to prepare for the game. They maybe play the first quarter. I don't know, man. I don't know because I still don't think this is where like I think Kyle might play some of them just because I don't think, they're 100% firing on all cylinders right now. And they kind of talked about it in the locker room like, well, what do we need to do to get better? And they all said practice. And so we know what that means typically is that they need to keep getting out there and they need to keep getting it done. So I don't know. I don't It's going to be very interesting to see what the 49ers ultimately do. But I know it's the one of the main talking points right now amongst the 49er fans is what are they going to do? So it's going to be interesting. Treat it like preseason. That's a good way to think of it. Like so I'm thinking like the dress rehearsal game against the Denver Broncos, right? The whole starting group played. They played the first drive and then they were out. I could see Kyle doing something like that. I could, but we'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting week leading up to this game because it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. So again, the number one thing that Kyle's got to do it's risk versus reward. Um, they gotta weigh that out. What do they risk? What do they reward? What's the reward of playing these guys? So I don't know. And again, I've talked about it in a couple of the videos that I've made. I vividly remember an interview with Kyle Shanahan talking about a memory that he had when his dad was coaching the Denver Broncos. I believe it was the Broncos, could have been the Niners. I can't remember exactly which team it was, but he was coaching in the NFL and he remembers his dad's team was one of the best teams in the NFL. They had the best record. They got a first round bye. And heading into that last week, they rested all their starters and they did all that. And I remember Kyle talking about how when they played that divisional round game, they got that, Kyle's dad's team got punched in the mouth because he felt it was because Kyle's, Mike Shanahan's team hadn't played in 3 weeks. And then the other team had been scratching and clawing its way all the way through, and they were just more mentally locked in. And I just remember that interview of him talking about that. So that's why that's why I'm really interested to see what Kyle does here because if he has childhood memories of a situation involving a first round bye and resting players at the final game of the year, I would assume he's not going to, but I don't know. So again, based on that interview, I could get the sense that Kyle wants these guys to prepare for this game as if they're playing, maybe play a series, maybe play a quarter, maybe play a half. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. So it's definitely going to be a fascinating lead up to this one. So we're going to have to find out what Kyle does in the end. Um, but we'll see. Again, all things considered, though, 49ers getting healthy, staying healthy. The fact that, again, it doesn't sound like Christian McCaffrey's injury is going to be severe at all. Definitely sounds precautionary at this point. And Ambry Thomas, having surgery on his hand is interesting. But again, you know, I would say a cornerback needs to rely more on his hips and his feet and stuff like that. So if Ambry has surgery today, could be ready to go in the divisional round. So outside of that, 49ers seemingly are pretty healthy at this point. Obviously, Eric Armstead should not play if he's available. You got to sit down Eric Armstead. Anyone who is like 80%, 90%, don't play him. So we'll see. We'll see how it ultimately goes. So that's the thing. The Rams, I think, are playing for potential seeding, but they're in the playoffs. They've clinched a playoff spot. And so there's no the Rams aren't playing for the playoffs. They clinched last weekend. So I think the only thing they could be playing for is seeding. But that's about it that I can think of right now. So risk reward game, not a lot of reward here for the simple fact of their number 1 seed is locked in. There's no changing that. The Rams are already in the playoffs, so it's not like you're keeping them out of the playoffs. So how will the 49ers manage this? Again, it's injury versus how sharp they will be. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I just wanted to come on quickly for a quick little injury update, injury talk. I might come on a little bit for a more proper Victory Monday live, but I did just want to talk about the injuries in depth. But hopefully you guys are having a great start to your 2024 season. As you can see, I still have my same issues with spelling and typing things out properly. So nothing has changed here, which means if you like this channel, that's probably a good thing because we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. So hopefully you guys have, like I said, I'll probably come on in a little bit for a proper Victory Monday type live where we can just vibe out a little bit. Today I just wanted to talk about the injuries, kind of react to that stuff and have that conversation, and then we don't have to have this conversation anymore. But we'll see. But I appreciate all you guys for tapping in. And this was not going to be a long one, so appreciate you all. Apologies for my inability to spell correctly. And we're off to a hot start for 2024. Appreciate you guys. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.